The low bid price was $69.6 million.
So there's nothing on the horizon that suggests to you, oh, we're going to have to belly up some more money?
Well, we have issues that we're working with the contractor. There are issues that we've encountered some underwater obstructions. The contract provides when that happens that we pay the cost to deal with those. The contractor's providing us those accountings. We'll review them, and where appropriate, we'll make payment for extra work that was required.
What kind of obstructions?
Well, some of them we're not sure what we hit because we hit them and eventually got through them. We did find a couple small pieces of the old bridge. We dropped on almost 4 million pounds of steel in this lake. We retrieved almost all of it. Unfortunately, we found a couple small pieces that we had to work around and get out. But when you're working in 50 and 60 feet of mud, it's hard to tell what you're encountering. It could be old timbers, it could be old ships, it could be old artifacts, it could be rocks, boulders. You never know what's in the mud at that depth.
How deep is the water here?
About 45 feet in the middle. It varies. This lake changes by almost 7 feet from spring to fall. But the water in the middle is 40, 45 feet typically.
Now, we've received some emails that one of the piers may be off by about 16 to 20 feet. Is that true? Or
if that were true, I'd be in trouble. No, it's not true. No.
How much of the previous bridge, some of the foundation was able to be used in this?
Yeah, we left 4. If you look out there, you might see. See if I can find you one. They're kind of hidden. We left 4 of the old piers in place intentionally when we left last year, just above the water, and those were used as temporary supports for the contractor. He could stage off of them and use them as supports to rig the new steel. It looks like he may not be using all of those. We might be taking some of those out very shortly here. But whatever the case, when the bridge is done, the 4 remaining piers that were there from the old bridge will be removed.
How do they get removed?
Some of them, depending on where your location, we took 2 out last year using traditional explosives and then methods to retrieve the rubble. Some of them can be done with more traditional mechanical methods, but it depends on the location and the best way to do it.
Now, the old bridge is obviously taken down due to severe neglect. Once this bridge is built, do we have any type of maintenance schedule in place yet?
Well, first off, the old bridge, the decision to demolish the old bridge was based on the fact that the concrete piers were flawed underwater, piers that can't be maintained. Underwater piers, there's really, other than inspecting them, there's really little maintenance you can do. And those piers were flawed because of the materials that were used in them and the lack of reinforcement. The new bridge is being designed with a lot of protection measures, both in the water elements and in the steel elements. These piers in the water for this bridge are built with a certain canted angle. That's done on purpose so that ice, as it moves against it, as it hits it, it falls back and breaks off. So it breaks the ice as it pushes against the piers. All these piers are also armored with granite. The old bridge was not granite armored for abrasion protection. So that will help with the water portions. On the steel that we're using on this bridge is a self-weathering steel, it's called, and on top of the self-weathering component, which protects itself, we're also using what's called a flame-coated metallizing process, where we're going to flame coat the steel members with a metallized mixture of, it's a combination of an aluminum and zinc, and that should prevent the bridge from needing painting it won't be painted, it will be flame-coated and won't need painting and should be quite durable.
What was the most important lesson that you learned from the old bridge to make sure you integrate into this project?
Well, certainly the thing that we learned the most was you shouldn't build a bridge in this condition without reinforcing in the concrete. And that was a major flaw in the old bridge. And certainly if you go out, you'll find that these components of this bridge are heavily reinforced. There's a very significant amount of steel reinforcement. These foundations would be very strong and durable. And that was probably the thing that amazed some of us the most was the way that the old bridge was built underwater, using no reinforcing in the steel and using a method called dropping of the concrete, drop buckets, where the concrete was free drop through water, which is not done. We use tremie-pours here, where we pour through a tube from the bottom up.
Will this bridge last longer then?
The design life for this bridge it's officially designed for what we call a 75-year design life. That's the minimum design life without any significant need for repairs. Certainly, I wish I could say I'd be here to see it longer than that, but I'm quite confident this bridge will last longer than that.
Now, some residents up in northern New York, Essex, Waylandsburg area, last year when the bridge closed, a lot of the residents here were compensated, with free ferry passes. Now they're concerned because of the project and the ferries moving down here that if there's no ice-breaking ferries up there, they'll have to either drive to Crown Point or Plattsburgh. Will there be any? Does the state plan to chip in and help them with any subsidies since these folks were?
The subsidy program we used last year was funded by the Federal Highway Administration, and what it did was provide an alternate to the bridge. And once the ferry was in place to replace the service that the bridge provided, there is no more further funding for other ferry services. We've reestablished the bridge by creating a ferry service at the bridge site.
Right, but I guess they feel though because of the ferry service, they're victims because in a way.
Well, I know the ferry has 2 boats operating here. They certainly have other boats that are ice breaking, and they just bought a brand new boat and brought it on the lake. So I can't speak for the ferry service. That's a private enterprise and certainly a business decision that they must be making. But we have no ability to subsidize any other ferries
Any idea
as part of this project.
Any idea on average how many people are crossing at this point right now?
It varies day to day and season to season. We on terribly winter days we'll see as low as 1,500 cars. On beautiful fall days we'll see over 3,000 cars. Each and every car is accounted for and tracked, and certainly we have all those numbers. I don't have them in hand, but it ranges, I would say, from a typical 2,200 to a little less, a little more, depending on the day.
And the added incentive for Flatiron to complete this project on time is that they would have to absorb the ferry costs if it should go beyond October?
Indirectly, the provisions in this contract, we use what's called an incentive-disincentive provision. In New York State contracts, for DOT contracts, we allow up to a 10% incentive period. So the performance period on this contract is 500 days. The maximum incentive, therefore, would be 50 days. We established the liquidated damage provision, which is a damage that's in lieu of an actual damage at the estimated value of running the ferry of $30,000 a day. So if the contractor finishes 50 days in advance, they would earn that incentive.
So if they go over, they have to pay that?
If they go beyond their completion date, unless there's adjustments made to the schedule, they would be required to reimburse the state for $30,000 a day.